What is up, goobers? Today we'll be doing South Carolina 101, so let's get it. South Carolina 101 runs for about 57 miles, and it starts in Hickory Tavern at US 76 and ends at South Carolina 11 near Gowinsville. Starting from the south end here in Hickory Tavern, we get signed for Gray Court, while US 76 gets signed for Princeton, which is terrible. That should be Greenville or Anderson, or both, heck. And then the other direction signed for Lawrence, which is fine. Next, we make our first right turn here in basically the middle of nowhere at this always stop. Here we meet South Carolina 14, which is just signed for Lawrence one direction. For some reason, there's nothing signed the other way, but if I'm guessing if it would be signed for anything, it'd be Fountain Inn or Greenville or Simpsonville. Anyways, we are now signed for Honori and Woodruff. Then shortly after, we will meet South Carolina 92, which will take away our line for Honori, and it will also be signed for Lanford, while we keep Woodruff. Here we meet I-385, which is signed for Greenville and Columbia, which is great. Next we meet US 221 and South Carolina 146, and become concurrent with them. As we begin to leave Woodruff, we get signed for Greer and Greenville, which is great, as we split from US 221. Then we meet South Carolina 418, which is signed for Fountain Inn. As we split from South Carolina 146, we can see that it's signed for Simpsonville and Greenville. Then here at South Carolina 417, we get Fountain Inn, Simpsonville, and Spartanburg. As we enter Greer, we meet South Carolina 296, which is signed for Bennett's Bridge, Malden, Spartanburg, and Reedville. Here we meet I-85, which is signed for Greenville and Spartanburg. Here we meet South Carolina 80, aka wannabe Georgia 316, and it is signed for the South Carolina Inland Port Terminal, which I guess is related to the airport. Next we meet South Carolina 357 and South Carolina 290. We will join South Carolina 290, and we just get signed for Greenville Tech's Benson campus, which is lame. And then we meet South Carolina 14 once again. And now we'll be turning left onto US 29 for a little bit. And we'll be making a right turn off of US 29 here. And you can see some mountains in the background, so that's cool. And then we split from South Carolina 290 and go our own way. Next we make a left turn on South Carolina 414, and we get signed for Tigerville. And I don't know why there's a 2 plaque on top of our shield there, but okay. And then we make a right turn off of South Carolina 414 and make our way towards South Carolina 11. And then we end here at South Carolina 11, which is signed for Cleveland and Gowinsville. And then straight ahead on the secondary road, it's signed for Poinsett Bridge Heritage Reserve. So cool. Turning around going southbound, we can see that we're signed for Greer off of South Carolina 11, so that's good. And also, I just want to say, that background of the mountain is beautiful. I'm pretty sure this is near the North Slough River Reservoir, so yeah. Here at South Carolina 414, we can see that we're still signed for Greer. Here in Greer, we turn left on the South Carolina 290. And then as we split from northbound US 29, we can see that we're essentially just signed for downtown Greer. Here we meet South Carolina 357, which goes to Appalach, and we split from South Carolina 290 as it heads to Duncan, so we can head to Woodruff. Passing by the GSP airport, we meet South Carolina 80. Here we meet I-85 once again, and it is signed for Spartanburg and Greenville. And here we meet South Carolina 296, and it has the same signage as we saw earlier back on northbound South Carolina 101. Here we meet South Carolina 417, which is signed for Spartanburg, Fountain Inn, and Simpsonville. And then we join South Carolina 146. And as we enter Woodruff, we meet South Carolina 418. Here we turn right onto US 221, but if you go left, it'll take you to I-26 and to Spartanburg. And then here we split from US 221 and South Carolina 146 and turn onto Georgia Street. Next we meet I-385, which is signed for Columbia and Greenville, and holy cow, that is a messy sign. As we enter the town of Gray Court, we pass by the junction sign of South Carolina 92. And here we meet South Carolina 14, which is signed for Lawrence and Fountain Inn, which is good. and we're not concurring with it, but we will be turning right onto a street after this railroad crossing right here. So yeah, just to avoid confusion. And then we make a left turn here, and we can see a sign for Hickory Tavern, which is fine because this is our terminus location, and Princeton. I do not like Princeton. I know it's where US 76 meets US 25, and this is favoring US 76, by the way. But I prefer Honeypath. It's an actual town, unlike Princeton. Princeton's more of a junction area, and also part of a county line. Lawrence and Greenville, by the way, for the people who don't know. And yeah, just, I don't like that. And then here we quietly make a left turn at the stop sign. And yeah, there's just no signs here telling us we're turning left, so bad look on SC.'s end. And then here we end at US 76, which is signed for Lawrence, and disappointingly Princeton should be Honeypath in Greenville. And straight ahead is signed for Waterloo, which should honestly be where Shoals, because South Carolina 252 is down there. Alright chat, this is the end of this video. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, bear with me, I've been busy lately and stuff, so sorry about that, and I'll hopefully be posting again sometime soon, and I'll see y'all soon.